The United States has now officially unsealed criminal charges against former Cuban leader Raúl Castro over the 1996 shoot-down of two brothers to the rescue aircraft that killed 4 people near Cuban airspace. The charges include conspiracy, murder, and destruction of aircraft, and while American officials say this is about long-awaited justice, many are now questioning the timing behind it all. Because why now? Why after nearly 30 years? Why not when Raúl Castro was actively leading Cuba? Why not during previous administrations? Why now during a period of massive geopolitical instability across the Americas and the Caribbean? At the JR Voice, this situation strongly reminds us of what happened surrounding Venue over the Shum 26. Back then, America appeared to create a wider narrative before escalating pressure, accusations, headlines, terrorism rhetoric, dramatic statements and media theatrics all seemed to slowly prepare public opinion before larger geopolitical moves followed. And now, here we are again. This Cuba situation increasingly feels like Act 2 because this legal case feels far bigger than simply a courtroom matter. It feels like another piece being quietly moved across the geopolitical chessboard before a larger strategy unfolds. The United States says this is accountability for the 1996 incident involving brothers to the rescue aircraft, which Washington insists were operating in international airspace. Cuba has always argued the planes repeatedly violated Cuban sovereignty and posed a provocation during an already tense Cold War environment. But regardless of where people stand on the original event, the wider geopolitical context matters. Cuba is currently suffering severe blackouts, economic collapse, migration crises, shortages of food and fuel, and growing public frustration. At the same time, American rhetoric towards Cuba has intensified dramatically. And when you combine sanctions, legal escalation, political pressure, and growing media focus all at once, naturally people begin asking whether this is truly about historical justice or whether it is part of a wider long-term strategy towards Cuba itself. Because the timing simply does not feel accidental. This also highlights something broader happening globally. America increasingly appears willing to aggressively pressure nations across the lower Americas and Caribbean that refuse to fully align with its geopolitical interests. And once again, the so-called international community and institutions that constantly speak about sovereignty and international law will likely remain largely silent depending on who the target happens to be. Whether people agree or disagree with Cuba's government is irrelevant to the wider point. The real question is whether the world is now entering another era where old Cold War-style bloc politics, pressure campaigns, and regional dominance games are quietly returning.